I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. I'm getting a heavy echo.
I was
Guys,
say, I think it's...
type
mic is usually by me.
22 if you hear an echo. Your iPhone has a microphone on it, so probably between songs you might want to try to mute that one. It's double pumped. Okay, guys, we have a special day today. As you guys can see up there, it's River Ross' birthday.
I'm just going to turn it down and see if they can still hear an echo. Okay, keep talking.
They can't hear an echo at all.
Oh, they can't hear an echo? Okay,
Yeah.
Great. No echo, no echo. Okay,
We
good.
can hear it, but they
Babe,
can't.
is this yours? Am I turning it up? Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going. Okay, guys, as you can see there, it is River's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday,
Congratulations! You know we don't play favorites here. We love River just like we love all of you equally. Everybody that knows me knows that's a damn lie. We absolutely pay favorites here.
Yes.
Because we're not liars.
We just like some of you equally more.
Oh, right. That's like the pig in, what do you call it?
Yes. Okay, so you guys have all been invited to Riv's birthday, and so have we. So we're very happy to be here, and we're glad that you shared this day with us, Riv. It's gonna be an interesting lineup, you guys. We've got some some repeat bands, so then we get double songs and triple songs and stuff. So
yeah, this is funny. Like if I was as connected to Ben Webb as I should be, I would have told him like, yo, because he's been asking for Dog Fashion Disco for literally 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Benji,
it's flying away.
Benji has
go put it back.
He has long wanted to hear some Dog Fashion Disco.
Wait,
so
that should be first.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So you guys sit back and relax because you guys are gonna see or hear a crazy band. This is a screen cap?
Yep.
A crazy band. There's River's stream key, and we're going to read a bit of an intro, and then we're going to get right into the metal goodness. Shout out to the big homie Applejack.
Sorry, the OCD's kicking in. Go like that, so it won't have all that extra.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah, so if anybody knows Ben, he's going to be pissed off that
too
he's
bad
not
for him.
able to
He was
see
too
it.
mad that I
Shout out to
voted
the big
for Trump. I never did.
He didn't even vote for Trump.
I didn't,
that
but
was
he
the funny
believed
thing
that I
about
did.
it. Like
So
he thought he
belief is, they say that possession is 9/10 of the law. The same belief is 9/10
of the accusation for Benji. Shout out to Ben
All
Webb.
right, yeah,
But it's
shout out
not
to
your
Ben
day today, Benji. It's
Okay.
not your day today, bro.
If
It
you
is
can pull
Rivers
up-
Day today.
Pull up. And I'm going to read the intro.
All right.
So I hope you guys are seeing an improvement in our camera. We're using a much nicer one now.
Yeah.
Let us know if you experience it any better or not, because
Okay.
I mean, perhaps you don't. Maybe it looks the same on your TV.
Where's the big intro?
Okay,
Is it this one right here?
no, it got out of order when you
Out of order.
Out of order. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay, that would be it.
Welcome to River's birthday stream, brought to you mostly by Middle Earth. Shout out to Middle Earth.
Shout out to Middle Earth gang.
Being the biggest bro on the planet and my weird little taste in music. This is obviously an intro done by Riv. Do you want to read that?
I decided, since after such a rough year, where I've struggled with regards to mental health, I'll use the band that gets me through my mental health issues the best. And being who I am, they're a group of alt metal outfits from Maryland that I've seen multiple times in my life. It's also part of a promise I made to you, Sori. You weren't fond of Dog Fashion Disco War Party, and I joked that I'd do a Todd Smith stream, Todd being the lead singer of Dog Fashion Disco and Polka Dot Cadaver, as well as their lyricist. Holy smoke, This guy... I was noticing, because we was downloading it from the same like YouTube record label thingamajig. Surprise, that's what's happening tonight. Especially as on the 11th, I saw Polka Dot Cadaver live at the Foundry in Lakewood as a birthday present to myself. It seemed only appropriate. So there you go. All right, so that's the intro to the stream, okay? That's the logic. So it's Riv's birthday, and they're doing it for Sori. How do you end up in those situations?
Well, I mean,
boy, Shorty's got it. She's got it. She's got it rough. Yeah, people like you. They like working with you. All right, here we go, guys. So good to see the big homie Applejack. Middle America is making a comeback soon, guys.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Soon, and
we found Waldo. He's right there.
Yeah, we found Waldo for sure. All right, guys, here we go. Song numero uno, Dog Fashion Disco is the name of the band. River Roth is the name of the occasion. Polka Dot Cadaver, Get Possessed. Wonderful, easy listening.
I don't know if Polka Dot Cadaver is more gross than...
Possessed. Here we go.
Which is worse? Which is scarier? This is a fan-made video.
Is it a church?
What is happening?
Is that a church?
My gosh!
Oh no!
Somebody stop him!
Woo! We don't get depressed, we get possessed. Yeah, that's kind of corny. I'm not gonna lie to you. Pretty hits. Jesus. Oh!
There it is.
Making him the guy that we were talking about. That's the guy that died in that shit.
No, dude, what?
No, this part right here is crazy.
There he is, Benny Hinn.
We hope with that boy.
I'm turning it up. Oh my god!
We don't get depressed. We get possessed. Okay, that was song number 1.
Okay,
The big
I like
homie
that
said,
one a lot
"We don't
better.
get depressed. We get possessed."
That was a little bit. The words themselves
That-
were a little bit corny.
That was
But-
cheese. Like
yeah.
when I first heard it, it was cheese. And then I'm like, I don't know, bro. That's kind of badass, though. I'm not gonna lie. Was the music video a fan-made
It
video,
was, yeah.
or was that an official video?
It was a fan made video.
Man, okay. So if I was that band, I would make that the official video. Like I would say
It certainly
that's the
worked.
real video.
It certainly worked because
That's the real video.
you
Because,
had some for everybody in there.
I mean, God Almighty.
Some of those visuals. Oh my gosh, we had seen some of those
Good.
pastors that do that, like with the snakes. And the one guy that we saw, like he ended up dying doing that, the snake handling. It's a misuse of the verses. It's a misunderstanding of the verses.
Yeah, I mean, well, the really crazy thing about that, and you know, River's used to these kinds of conversations because it comes up in Middle America a lot. Would you believe it? On the Middle America thing, there's a lot of discussion about religion. Very interesting, but that's a textual variant. That's not even in the original manuscript where it talks about, like, you know, they'll drink poison.
That's a textual variant?
Yeah. Like none of the
but there's
earlier-
also
That's like the Comma Johannium. You know, there's 3 that testify in heaven, the Father, the Son, and the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit. These are 1.
Yeah.
That didn't show up till like the 15th century.
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like for people to build a theology off of something that wasn't even originally in the
Well,
Bible,
it's not
is
just that.
crazy.
It's also Paul. When remember he got shipwrecked and he got on that island.
Yeah,
The snake went on him and it went to bite
but
him
the
and he shook it
the
off.
main passage is the long ending of Mark.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
where that verse is at and all the rest of it. So it's like it's a crazy thing where it's like, yo, these people are dying for shit that's not even in the Bible.
You know what's also crazy?
That's just so crazy to me.
Yeah, agreed. But it's also crazy because Jesus himself, when he was brought, you know, when Satan was tempting him, basically, Satan was like, oh, well, the scripture says, you know, that he's not going to let the
Right,
angels
he
are going
quoted
to protect
Psalm
you.
91.
Yeah, the
God will
angels are gonna
protect you
protect
from
you.
even stepping on a stone.
Right.
Right.
But
right,
then
right,
Jesus responds back to him. It also says, don't test the Lord your God.
Right.
So Jesus himself is like, okay, I'm not going to test God.
Right.
And then here you have just like regular folk. They're like, here, I'm made of flesh and blood and I'm going to.
Right. That's exactly right.
Let me
I'm
test
gonna
God
put
with these
God-
snakes and put him up to it. Yeah. You
Right,
know what I mean?
but the crazy thing is, like, when you die, instead of saying, holy shit, maybe we need to, like, regroup and rethink this theology, they just blame the victim and say, well, you know, you didn't have enough faith. It's like, well, it's kind of the victim's fault because you shouldn't have been silly enough to do that and go out that way. Like, if you've got a death wish, go get yourself beheaded in Nigeria or something for the gospel.
I was
Like,
going to say, yeah.
not in some back office, you know, church somewhere in
Oh,
Arkansas.
I mean, I agree with you. The whole thing, and a lot of those churches seem to be like, no, I'm not going to say that. Well, some of them seem smaller. I can say that. I won't say the other thing. I was thinking.
What, it's like it's all a family?
Well,
I mean, that
doesn't seem
that
like
one that we were
there's-
watching, it was only their family
it was
part
only
of
their
the
family,
church.
and they don't seem highly educated. And that to me was like,
Well, the thing is like,
when you're only in a certain cul-de-sac
People-
and you think that things are a certain way,
I mean, it's
because
very...
the father died and then the son took it on and started doing it too.
Yeah, but
and then he got banned.
You notice the kinds of cults that people get into, though, like the super upper middle class rich people that join Nexium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like super rich people, like they join Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's only poor people that join death cults.
Jeez.
They got nothing to lose. Rich people are trying to find meaning in all the money that they have, so they end up joining a cult because they realize I'm a millionaire and that's supposed to be the top of the hill and I'm still miserable and empty. So rich people join these cults because they're trying to put some meaning around all their possessions. Poor people join death cults because they have no possessions and they're trying to find meaning in that. See what I'm saying? So you join a death cult because at any moment you could get a ticket out of here. See what I'm saying? Because you don't have anything to lose. Whereas if you lived in California with 9 houses, the idea that you're joining a death cult is probably not going to happen.
Do you think they recognize that they're joining a death cult?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
No. But there's the conscious mind and then the subconscious mind. You see what I'm saying? Or like there's will and then there's intention. And a lot of the times we layer our intentions to hide them from our. I mean, we have this conversation a lot. Like that's a thing in human nature, is that we will layer our intentions so that we could point to, reason number 58, when in reality there's a core reason we're doing something that a lot of times it's hidden away from us. But
yeah,
it was a very, very, very interesting video because of what he was saying lyrically, and it was almost like the video was making the point that at some level there's no difference between like hyper charismatic Christianity, demon possession, animals jumping on each other, and all these other cults. Like there seems to be this like line of like similarity between all three, even though you would not associate them together. Because he's got one thing of Benny Hinn like going crazy, like knocking people out with his jacket, and then the next clip he's got all these wildebeest jumping on this one animal or whatever. It's like,
and you saw the Ouija
just the
board.
brutality of nature itself as it relates to human nature, especially when you put like religion or esotericism on top of it. Like, ooh, like something is happening to you. Like, I don't get depressed, I get possessed. Which I thought that line was corny, but that was basically my philosophy in high school.
Oh, really?
That was the philosophy. Like, the more sad I got, I would go deeper into like dark thoughts and darkness. So like if the depressive thoughts were bringing me down like 10 degrees below the surface,
yeah, I get that. Yeah,
I would get darker and more violent and crazy. So that the deepest thing in me was like anger and hate and blood instead of like just being depressed.
I can't speak for you, but I think a lot of my decisions are based off control. Where if like the depression itself is taking you down and you don't really feel like you have a whole lot of control over it, where if you take thoughts deeper and darker, then you've chosen it. So you're like, yeah, I'm here, but I picked this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different feel than if you're in a situation where you're just like, it's taking you down, and especially if you were up and you didn't want to be sliding down and you start feeling yourself sliding backwards into it, it's not a good feel. It's a horrible feeling.
It's interesting because Riv said that these are the bands or the songs that he uses when he's
this is how he goes through
like depressed or whatnot. So I thought that was very fascinating, just because that song doesn't seem like a pick-me-up. Although, I mean, I definitely could see like a person saying it feels empowering to say, we don't get depressed, we get possessed, whatever, because again, that's a stronger emotion or position to be in.
Yeah.
Because like, even though you're not in complete control of yourself, which obviously sucks, like you still have a sort of power, because there's a symbiosis between the person who's being possessed and the power. I mean, this is what I've heard from people who have had, what we would call possession experiences. Like there is a certain sense that they have some sort of power that the people around them don't have. And we've heard, I mean, even biblically you've heard it, where it's like this guy was able to, none of the chains would work on him, the guy at the Gadarenes and all that, like he was
He was
really,
they couldn't stop him.
Yeah, he was
That's
really
why
out there.
The whole city was scared of him.
Yeah, so
it's a story in the Bible.
So like, I never really thought about that before. Like, if a person like would voluntarily offer themselves up for possession, so that they could feel that power as they're tagging along with whatever. Like that's such a crazy idea.
What does the word vermilion mean?
It means red.
Oh, really?
So our hands are red. Start of 5 great coalitions, ravens dive. Nightshades promise, spirits strive to the living. Now the dead come alive. Like, it's a very interesting. See, I'm like looking at Riv on the left side, like, because I'm trying to see, like, yo, is that the real? You know what I'm saying? Is that the real issue? This song was helping him because it was empowering to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So then it says, let the malevolent
man begin.
I dwell among the cursed, the damned, and the undead. Recite the invocation, altars for the sacrifice, burnt offerings for the Antichrist.
Holy shit, 32. Shout out to Riv. Black Phantom, foul sorcery. Blood of our blood, we summon thee. See, right there. So he's asking for it. And you got the kids playing with the Ouija boards, all type of shit.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was listening to. I've been, because now that the people have used my term. I don't know if you guys remember this. I used to talk about dark intelligences. Remember year 1, Riv? Right? Remember this when I was talking about demons? I talk about dark intelligences.
Yep.
And now the official title for those beings is non-human intelligences. Do what you will with that there, listener.
You want any of those?
But, like, I've been thinking about, like, when I first heard about Ouija boards, I laughed. I was like,
you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
like,
not me.
I had a very physicalist, really secular scientific understanding about the world and how it worked for a very, very long time.
Really?
Yeah. So
why? Your mother wasn't like that.
No, nobody was. I didn't
Why
really
did you
know.
do that?
I didn't really know. I just, when I went to science class, like, I was really big into sciences. I made my mom buy me a microscope set with rocks and shit, like, because I wanted to look at sediment and all
You did?
Oh, yeah. I was, like, really big into science all the time as a kid. And so, like, to me, the shit just didn't make any sense. Like, what does saying something on some cardboard and plastic, how does that translate to a bad guy showing up in a room? Like, you're looking at me like I'm the weird one. I mean, that's a pretty crazy proposition.
You know
what? Like, you move some plastic around a cardboard, and all of a sudden, I thought that was just crazy.
All of my life, I believed it. Like, I remember my parents, like, telling us, for one, we were not allowed to use a Ouija board. Surprise. But then they would.
I know a lot of secular parents that won't let their kids use a Ouija board either.
That was, like, the one area
People
where
are a little bit twisty on that one.
My parents were like, my mom, I guess. My dad didn't talk about it a whole lot. My mom used to tell us stories about it. Like, she said one time that there was a group of them in the room and somebody started using the Ouija board, and the person, like, the stuff. Your mom? Yeah, the stuff started moving, and then one of the people, like, opened up their mouth, and, like, this really, like, deep dark voice came out that was not from their sibling or whoever the person was that had started talking, and it, like, started speaking, and it like filled the room with terror when it happened. And then I had friends that were not Christians, and they would ask us. I was always, like, on a mission to, like, save the world. So any friends that came to my house, I felt like that God was sending them to me so I could make sure that they were going to get to heaven, because I didn't want anybody going to hell. That was kind of like my big drive.
Yeah.
Plus, I also loved Jesus, and I really wanted people to understand what it was like to have a relationship with him. So I was always talking to my friends about it, and so my friend who was not religious at all, she was like, yeah, she's like, because I always knew, like, the Ouija board subject might be something that they had, and I always, because I felt like the Ouija board was so bad, I wanted to see, like, okay, where are they? And I want to know where they are, because I don't want to be around one and not know it, blah, blah, blah. And so I would say, do you guys have a Ouija board? And she was like, we do, yeah. And I was like, well, we can't use, and I started talking about it, and then she was like, well, you want to know something weird? She said, my mom bought it for us, or it was already in the house when they got there. That I'm not clear on. And she said that it was out in their room when they came home.
The Ouija board.
The Ouija board was.
Okay.
And she was like, thought that maybe the mom took it out for them to play with or whatever. So she's like, she didn't really want to play it. So she stuck it up in her closet. And then it ended up coming crashing down, like with like force. And that really freaked her out. So then the next time that she put it, she like hit it or something. And it ended up on her bed again or something like that. Like there was like a lot of events. And she was friends with our neighborhood was actually pretty like active as far as like creepy, like weird spiritual stuff. Yeah. And so these people were not religious at all. So they didn't necessarily believe it, but they were like, this is what's happening. So they were talking about it with us because we were Christians. And she was saying how like, there was another house on the street behind us. She pointed out the house. She's like, that house, which we did notice, it kept rotating, people that were living there. And she said that she became
people
friends.
Would like leave?
Yeah, like people didn't stay living there for a long time. But she said that that in that place, like there was like stuff would just come flying across the room, like glasses smashed up against the wall, candlesticks smashed up against the wall, stuff that just really, really scared the people. Whenever she would tell me this stuff, I wasn't necessarily scared by it because I felt like I understood it. So it wasn't scary to me. It was like, well, yeah, you got to pray over the place, but whatever. So yeah, the Ouija board was definitely an interesting topic. Every time I see it, I'm always like, it's interesting because it's kind of like one of those things where you may or may not get an experience off it. Some people, it's literally just a board, like what you explained. And then other people, it's like a conduit for some sort of spirituality. And I think, a lot of like, we talk about intentions and how your intentions get manifested.
Yeah, we were just listening. See, that's where when I started listening to Schopenhauer and Kant, where like my mindset about the Ouija board would change, because in Schopenhauer's mind, because he's developing Kant, which is none of us are seeing reality for the thing in itself. So, as a subject, which we are, we can never objectively define what an object is because the object is always being run through our filters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Schopenhauer takes that an extra step and says, okay, then what's the point of physicality? And he comes out with the understanding that your body is a representation of something, because we're not seeing the thing in itself. So the body is a representation of something. But inside of this body, we control to a degree what it does. And so that represents our will. So your body functions as representation and as will, as an expression of your will. And so that's how you affect physical objects in the world, as a manifestation of your will. If that's true, then I do see an opening for, there are interdimensional realities, and so there are bridges to get us from dimension 1 through 3 to 4 through infinity, right? And the way to get, theoretically speaking, the way to access those beings is to express some sort of very specific intention to them that you want them over here or vice versa.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like when you're doing like the nuclear code on the, like you have to do a certain sequence of numbers in a certain way to make absolutely sure that you want to press the go button, that it can't be a mistake. And so what if the same principle is happening interdimensionally, where it's like, if you
like
say,
the pentagram or whatever that they put on the ground.
Right,
the
it's an expression, it's a very specific expression of the will of this person in dimensions 1 through 3, like we want to start interfacing with you. So from that perspective, I could see how a Ouija board would invite spirits, because it's a sort of a conventional understanding that the people participating that have surrendered some of their will to the idea of interfacing with these beings. And so from that perspective, I definitely see like an opening for that for sure. But prior to that understanding, no. Like, I was like, what the hell does... I mean, think about it. It's plastic and cardboard. Like,
yeah.
How does that bring demons into the equation? You know
I think I always had a pretty, maybe it's because of my upbringing, I don't know. I think I always had a pretty advanced understanding of like demonology, I guess you could say. And like,
who did? You did?
I did, because it was something that was taken pretty seriously, not only by my immediate family, but also like extended family. And then, like I said, like people that weren't even Christians in my life a lot of people have ghost stories and stuff like that.
100%.
Once you start opening up the
100%.
door, and I mean, you know, when you start talking about either experiences that you've had or experiences that someone else has had, but even if it's experiences that someone else has had, but you believe it, then people feel comfortable to say, yo, you know what happened to me? Listen to this. This is crazy. And then they start talking. And then when those people start talking, other people are like, oh, well, my situation was crazy, but that one's crazier. So I'll tell my story. And then like people start telling their stories and you start realizing that these things are a lot more common than you would think. And also, not only are they more common, but there are similarities in some of the ways that these things happen. Like, for instance, the stuff getting thrown across the room, the candles, stuff like that. Like, that's not the first time I've heard violently something coming flying across the room.
Well, that's the other thing about...
And the internet wasn't a thing when we were kids, you know what I'm saying? So whatever information people had was what they got from hearsay or what they saw themselves.
That's one of the craziest things about, like, this whole UFO situation.
Yeah.
Is like, if I could, I would put together some sort of biblical scientific theology around the UAP thing. It's so fascinating. Like Jacques Vallée, like trolls, elves, fairies, all these things. He's like, we've always been interacting with these beings since day one. Like we've always done that.
Well, and that they come, that basically he was saying well, actually, you were listening to the Muslim guy today, and he was talking about the jinn.
Yasser Khadi, yeah.
And he was saying that they shapeshift or whatever, that they can come in different forms. So they're like, for instance, if your belief system is demons, then they're going to come in that sort of form. If your belief system is the jinn, it's going to come like more like a genie or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so different, or like the trolls so different. If you look at different, I can't think of the word, like mythical, whatever, like legends and different stuff like that within different cultures, they all have some form or some version of like these evil beings and what they do or what they don't do, what they're like, and the terror that they bring or whatever.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. It's always non-physical, non-human intelligences that are almost always superior to us somehow. And it's very, very fascinating stuff. So like, what I loved about the video though was it showed like the line between like what we would consider scary satanic paganism, the line between that and like weird forms of Christianity are not that far apart. You know, it's like the horseshoe thing, like you go so far that you come back around. Like, and like some of it to me is like crazy. It's like there are some churches where like the crazier and the more out of control it got, the more God was showing up, quote unquote.
Yeah, I saw some really weird stuff. You know, I came up in a Pentecostal church, and I remember thinking some of this stuff doesn't make any sense. Like, for instance, we had this youth meeting. It was a camp, and we were all there, and the service was happening. It seemed like God was really moving on some people. Like some people were really like kind of meeting with God and coming out with something pretty crazy. But then there were other people that, like, this is gonna sound so crazy. It's probably one of those things that when you see it, you're like, it's. Anyway, I'm not going to qualify it. I'm just going to say what they said. Anyway, we left. Yeah, it's always weird to like start saying stuff because it's so bizarre. So we left the meeting. Now at this meeting, like,
shout out to Sean James.
What happened?
I'm a Messianic Jewish metalhead in recovery. Just celebrated 28 months clean and sober last Thursday.
Sean, that's so good.
That's a year and 4 months, my G.
Yeah, good job.
Push.
Good job.
Push.
Yeah. So we were all leaving the meeting, and again, we're teenagers, so I'm like, this is like 15-year-old Sori. And the older ones were, 18 to 21 years old. And I always had this understanding or idea that if you were older, then you should be more mature, whether that's spiritually or anything. Like, you should just be more mature. It was not the case at all. So as we're leaving, one person's like stumbling out because supposedly they got drunk in the Holy Spirit. That was weird. I'd never heard that before. And so they're like acting drunk. And I thought, okay, well, perhaps there's some like kind of like opening for that. And there was a girl that was older than me, and I said, I feel a little bit weird about this, like, drunk in the Holy Spirit stuff, because we're not supposed to get drunk in the Bible, so why would the Holy Spirit show up and then just make people drunk? And she was like, she got, like, angry with me, and she was like,
don't question God.
No, she was just, well, kind of, but she didn't want to hear my whatever. And then this, like, one of the guys comes out, and he goes up to one of the other guys, and he, like, puts his arm around him, and he was like, listen, really nice nipples, and he like starts grabbing his. I was like,
To another dude?
yeah, to another dude. I was like,
we
wait.
know the Holy Spirit was not in that.
And then I said, yeah, but look what just happened right there. And she was like, you know, she just, you know, you basically, yeah, you know, you can't question the way that God's going to do his work and stuff like that. So I was quiet about it, but inside I was like, something doesn't make sense here. And then there was another time where I was at an event and this guy showed up and he was preaching to the youth, and he said that God was inside of him. So if you wanted to get God, then you needed to get close to him. And I thought to myself, well, that seems a little odd, because that could really set somebody up for some real trouble.
Yeah.
And so I'm like looking at the person that's in charge, because I wasn't in charge, like, yo, are you gonna say something here? And he wasn't saying anything. He was pretty quiet. And the guy called everybody. He was like, if you want to get the Holy Spirit, stand up. And he had everybody go to the middle aisle. You're never gonna believe this. You're gonna think I'm making this up. So this kid goes up. He's probably like 15 years old, like a big 15-year-old kid. So almost the same size as the adult that's doing this. He tells everybody to shut our eyes. And I'm like, I'm not fucking shutting my eyes. I kept my, you know how I am. I'm like that. So I'm just looking at him, eyes wide open. He kept looking at me like, and he was like, I'm going to ask that everybody shuts their eyes. And I'm like, I just sat there just looking at the homie. I was like, I'm not shutting my eyes. I don't know what you're about to do. And then he's like, all right. And he like puts his hand on the kid's head like this. And he was like, you're going to receive the Holy Spirit. I'm not joking you. He punched him right in the gut. And the kid was like, whoa, like that. And I'm like, I ended up getting up and walking out and stuff like that. So there are some weird stuff that can happen, like in churches, that like, and the energy that I felt in those two instances that I was talking about. I've been in other situations where, you know, somebody was dealing with being possessed. It was a pretty wild experience, but the energy matched.
Really?
The energy was similar, not to the degree of like that person, like how crazy that was, but like, you know, it doesn't have to be as saturated, but the energy can be similar. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I did appreciate that in the video, like making reference to both of it, so that way it's not just like, it can come in a lot of different forms.
Very, very much like the song.
It was heavy.
It was heavy.
I loved
the
the
musicianship was crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really, really good job.
Yeah.
Really good job. That's just song number 1 in Riv's birthday bonanza. What'd you give it?
I gave this this is a 9.8 for me. I actually really
shizzle.
I mean, I don't want to get possessed.
Nine.
Let my intentions be clear.
9.4. Shout out to the big homie. We shall return, dear listener. More Vin and Sori on the other side of the break. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch. And
yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
You're just salty that I don't like the Beatles as much.
At least he's not calling himself Dwayne 3.5 or whatever he did.
Maybe
he held on to that shit
score.
for quite some time. All right, dear listener, we're back. It's freaking River Roth's birthday up there. You'll see right there.
Bring up Trello. We got something to read.
We have something to read for you beautiful people. Here we go. Here's the intro to song numero dos, you beautiful people.
Okay, no. Yeah, 2. Sorry, I had to translate that. All right, up next is Polka Dot Cadaver again. The name of the song?
Chloroform Girl is the name of the song.
This song, Chloroform Girl, is their big ballad kind of song. Todd Smith, when introducing the song, said some fans have said they've danced to this at their weddings.
Oh, no.
Funnily, my girlfriend and I, after meeting online, talked about this band and this song before she asked me out. We've been together now going on 3 years. Oh, okay. We met in the forum for writing, and this song was an inspiration for a villain I was writing with a power to use music to hypnotize. This song, along with the album it's off of, was one of the last to get re-recorded to reclaim the rights to it. The album being Purgatory Dance Party.
Polka Dot Cadaver is the name of the band.
Chloroform Girl.
Chloroform Girl
Official
is the name
audio.
of the song.
Cross your fingers,
let me
ladies
see
and gentlemen.
Here. No, I think this will be fine. Let me just see here. Chloroform Girl, Polka Dot Cadaver. Let's do it. See?
Welcome to Riv's birthday.
Birthday bash or whatever, majig.
Birthday bash. Oh my word! My friends used to always have they'd have a bash every year. I wanted to go so badly, we couldn't though. No parties allowed. You could hear them all the way from 2 streets away.
Oh no! All right, here we go. Chloroform Girl, let's go.
Your eyes look just like bullet holes. It must be all that crying. You haven't learned a thing at all. Another helter-skelter. Moonlight has come and gone. The bloody writings on the wall. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. Yes, since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged and chained up in my basement. Just like a zombie, inches from dead and pretty, with purple flowers in your hair.
What, a wedding song?
I hear the angels crying, just as the devil smiles. All little pigs will die tonight. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged and chained up in my basement. The devil singing the most haunting melodies. I've got this overwhelming feeling of morbid ecstasy coming over me. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. Because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged and chained up in my basement. Chloroform girl.
Don't get what in my basement?
All right, so she was hanging out in that basement for 3 years. I knew it was going to be bad when Riv started talking about how people use this at people's weddings.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Ascender
Wait,
Prime.
what did he say about the basic? Bound, gagged,
Bound, gagged, and chained up in my basement. She hasn't been able to see the sun for 3 years, he said.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's probably dead already.
Yeah, but what is chloroform? Doesn't that put you to sleep?
That's that thing that you put it, you put it in the little
It knocks
rag and
them
then you
out.
put it in, the bad guys always used to do that in the movies and shit. Like, it knocks you out so you can kidnap you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but then I wasn't sure if it was like...
I first learned that in Batman. The Joker did it to Batgirl. Like, he put the chloroform over her face and she, like, fell out. I was like, holy shit. I was like, yo, Junior, what happened there? He's like, it's chloroform, man.
I wonder if it really works like that.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. You're probably more
They
likely
used
to
to
kill
use it
somebody
in so
on that
many
shit.
movies. Yeah, I mean, yeah, back in the day.
Ascender Prime in the house.
Oh.
Yo.
Wow, okay, so...
Yeah, this is one of those, like, I killed you, I'm obsessed with you type songs that,
No, okay, so she
very
isn't dead.
interesting.
Because he said you're only alive because I like you.
You're only alive because
But
I
he
like you.
kept her in the basement like that.
Yeah, for 3 years. But again, like, he uses the term helter-skelter. He used the term the piggies will die, all the little pigs will die tonight, which is what Manson said. He was like, die, pigs die, or
yeah.
whatever.
Whatever happened to those girls? Dude, he set girls out to go kill people.
Yeah,
and did the
they all
crosses and
got jammed up. They all got arrested.
And they stayed in jail this whole time?
Well, he died in prison like a year or two ago.
What about the girls, though? Do you
I don't
know?
I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know. They're probably out by now. I don't know.
They were so young, and like literally,
Yeah, like he's
they
a
had
ringleader.
that thing dug into their heads, and he was like, "Did that hurt when you did that?" She was like, "No, it didn't hurt at all."
Yeah, I'm
I
not
was like,
sure.
oh my gosh.
I'm not sure that the Mansonites were victims of Stockholm syndrome because he didn't kidnap them. He didn't forcibly take them there. I mean, Stockholm syndrome is usually you're captured by a group of people against your will, and then you start sympathizing with the cause of your enemy or whatever. One just got freed.
What, just got freed?
Yeah, just now.
That's insane. Did you see how young those girls were?
Yeah, but they took lives. You know what I'm saying? Some people are still dead. Like, you shouldn't get out of jail. Period. Piggies was a Beatles song. Yeah. So like, he's not. I don't think this is like Manson himself, but he's definitely using, the
Yeah, he did,
Mansonite,
Riv.
tropes and things like that to communicate.
That's right, Riv.
The mindset of the guy.
That's right. We were just watching that documentary, and he was using all LSD and all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, and then to
mess with his cap. So
he wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
So he'd get them all jacked up on LSD.
So it was more
and
than
then he
just.
Yeah, I mean,
you alter their mind, their state of mind, and then he presented himself like a god, and he was like he was crucified.
I don't really
Messiah.
know how much LSD really puts you in a state of like, I don't really know if that's what happens. I mean, I don't know. It seemed to me though that there was a willingness of those girls to take part.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw that, I kept thinking.
Okay,
like,
here we
wow.
go. It doesn't work like that. Chloroform takes at least 5 minutes before you're rendered unconscious. A comedy podcast has entertained the idea and consulted with the doctors. Welcome to movie magic. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now they're hearing echo. I don't know why, but they all. I don't know.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Okay, yeah.
Right. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is LSD.
I mean, I think that's a pretty
Go ahead.
scary song. But I mean, I see what you're saying, like the whole, like, the romance of, like, I used to be like that, you know what I mean? Like, not to this degree, but
Yeah.
I think that, like, I've almost completely abandoned those ideas of romance. Almost completely, probably. I don't know if there are any left in that regard, but I mean,
Like the
possibly.
crazy stalker romance stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm like I think I'm maturing past that, and I'm like, no, I don't think that those are the most romantic things.
It is a very curious thing to me in metal where all these love songs end with somebody dying, like, My Gift to You with Korn, you know, Vermilion with Slipknot. It's like, can't we just have a regular love song? Like, you know, Nothing Else Matters, Metallica. Why you always got to kill the person? You see what I'm saying? Like, why, like, it's very fascinating to me. I don't understand what is it about the metal community that creates those kinds of songs. And it's also fascinating that the misogynist term doesn't get attached to metal bands as much as misogyny gets attached to rappers. But almost every time these dudes are talking about a woman, they're strangling them, shooting them, stabbing them, all types of shit. I don't know. It's
That's
weird.
so interesting. You said it usually gets like about rap.
Well, yeah, rap usually gets called a misogynistic, and obviously there are clearly misogynistic lyrics and imagery in rap. But yeah, it is fascinating to me because I'm like, what is it? Because I remember Slipknot had this song called Prosthetics, and it was like the first song that I had heard where it was like the sick stalkery thing, and you'll be mine, and blah blah blah, and we're gonna all kill ourselves together or whatever. So like, and I loved. I remember loving that song. Like I loved that song.
Why? And you loved it for what reason?
Because I was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, because at the time I was like, oh, we can't just do a regular love song because we're so crazy. Like, we've done all this crazy shit. So like a regular love song was kind of like, it would have messed with the
vibe of the relationship.
With the romance. Yeah. Because it was kind of like a Twilight type situation. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like a, you know, bad guy and small frail girl and all this, and a lot of you know, a lot of the sick back and forth shit that you do when you're young and you don't understand how relationships are supposed to work and all the rest of it. But yeah, like it was weird. Like I could never just write her a regular love note or something like that. It was always some crazy shit. It's always some weird, like dark, you know. So like I don't know.
Maybe that's because you were in a dark place, and so when you're in a dark place, the love in that dark place would match. It would be dark, you know what I mean? But it was still like expressing love because you loved her. So
yeah, you look just like a zombie, inches from dead and pretty, with purple flowers in your ear. That's a crazy line. Inches from dead and pretty.
Yeah.
That's such a brilliant line.
Well, what do you get out of that?
Because she's so close to dying, but she's not there yet. And she's currently pretty because she's alive, but she's inches away from not being pretty when rigor mortis sets in. You see what I'm saying?
That's what you thought? You look
you look just like a zombie, inches from dead and pretty.
Oh, you're inches from dead and you're pretty. I actually thought he was saying inches from dead. I thought he was saying like she would be pretty when she was dead.
Yeah, I mean, that could also be it too. In which case, she's still inches away from it because she's still alive, barely. That's the other thing. It's like I'm not sure like the kind of like to really hurt somebody. Like I remember, I'm not gonna talk about that, but like it takes a lot to really hurt somebody. If you do something that like really hurts a person, I'm talking about physically, it takes a lot out of you, and like to have to do it again is extremely difficult. So I always think to myself, like, what kind of like mental discipline does it take to continue to be that inhumane? Because you know she's screaming, you know she's, you know, whatever. We've got friends that do these true crime things, and they had this girl, and they locked her up, they did all types of crit. Like I couldn't even listen for like 10 minutes. I'm like, how the hell do you have the kind of discipline to do that and not break psychologically? Because like seriously, like one of the things that we use in enhanced interrogation is just playing the tapes of people screaming as they're being tortured. So it's like, my point is just to say that across the board, it's torturous for human beings to have to hear that. So like, what kind of person do you have to be to continue to hear that over and over again and it not affect you to the point where you just break down and just set the person free? Like, that's the thing that's crazy. Like, how do you do that? and continue to do that for days and weeks
Wait,
and
so
years.
do you think that somebody that does that is operating independently of dark intelligences, or do you think it's possible to operate it
Well,
like that?
I mean, dark intelligences can only influence you. They can't, control
Unless
you
you're
unless you
possessed by
actively
'em.
cede control to them.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a person needs to be possessed by anyone to do those kinds of activities. I think that's what it means for humans to be, as sinful as we are, But like, I understand that it's evil, but there's degrees of evil, and like there's a lot of like if you want to do like a successful like hit, like shoot somebody, there's a lot of shit you have to do. Even street dudes, like there's a lot of shit. There's steps you got to take, all types of shit. Like it takes a lot of discipline to pull something like that off and not get arrested. So like, on top of the fact of actually doing the act itself, especially, going to school the next day and you see all their friends crying, all types of shit.
Yeah.
You see the mom crying on the news, all types of crazy shit. It's horrible. So like, I just, it's hard to comprehend like that degree of evil to do that to a person. Then do it to a person that's weaker than you. It's a woman. It's like, yeah. And the other thing that's fascinating is I don't hear a lot of songs where women are like trapping men and torturing them for, you know what I'm saying, for years and shit. Like, it that'd be a couple. There's a couple revenge songs you could make. OTEP could make a pretty good revenge song.
Remember that revenge song that was about that woman that would go? She was,
she
was like a legend, and she basically put the fear because they didn't know when she was going to be around.
Yeah, she's that song that we did with Ignota, Linguini Ignota, whatever it is. Yeah, that was probably the most disturbing song I've ever heard in my life. Very, very disturbing song. A lot of terrible, as Todd says, lots of broken brains out there. Exactly. Sonically, this sounded like a Beatles love song. I think Ghost.
Add a little bit of Ghost sound.
Ghost has kind of like mastered the sing-songy, but we're gonna talk about like really evil shit, but it's sing-songy stuff. Like I think Ghost is probably number one with that. But like this was like that kind of a song, and it just adds an extra layer of like chill to it because it's like, damn, like how can you say this with this kind of, like, that's the thing with Slipknot, like it kind of went with it. It was like, you'll be mine, or like Jonathan, like, I hate you, but like they're singing like it's like a little 60s Beatles love song. It's definitely like off. It's kind of spooky. I'm not gonna lie to you. and again, like yeah, I know we should have left it at that when we were doing that fucking song.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, shit is incredible. All right,
okay, what do you give this song?
I give this one a solid 9.1.
I think that I'm moving farther and farther away from this type of like I said at the beginning of this type of romance where this one is one-sided. Like she has no say in the matter. She's trapped down there in the basement, and I mean, it'd be bad enough to be chained in the basement, but she's bound and chained, and it's not that enough. She's gonna be gagged on top of it. It's like, wow, there's a lot of layers of control that you have over this woman. A song like this makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I don't know if it would influence anybody to be this crazy, or if a song like this does the opposite and kind of protects people from going that far, or if it's I don't know. I think.
I don't know. You have to keep thinking about it. It was generally harmless for us as far as that stuff goes. It didn't like translate. Didn't translate to anything in the real world.
I disagree
that was,
with you
crazy.
Because you're talking about.
Yeah, homegirl. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it did translate. I mean, she became, as she progressed, the way that things went and the stuff that she was saying, like, how do you know that it didn't start out with like when the romance was good and there was like that like sort of like dark romance, but then as the romance started dying off and the relationship became more toxic, the darkness still stayed there and it became very evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, How do you know it didn't have some effect in that? Like, are there relationships that go
Yeah,
long term
I
where
don't.
they start out like that and stay like that the whole time? Like it's like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never met anybody like that, and I mean, obviously, I don't know a million people, so I have no idea. Comment section. If you've been in a relationship long term and this is the type of relationship you have, please let me know. How long have you been together, and what would you say? Rate the strength of your relationship or something. Give me some indicator. Something. All right, I'm gonna give this song.
Riv finds peace in looking at the darker side of human nature. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe when you've lived the kind of life that Riv has lived, that can bring you peace. That doesn't bring me a lot of peace.
Me neither. Okay.
Interesting.
I'm gonna give this one an 8.7.
All right. As I said, it's a 9.1.
We'll be back.
Definitely gave us some insight into River's very interesting mind. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And we shall return on the other side of the break. So there's that. Right now. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them to buy our merch. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of the Revo. I lied to you. The River Bday stream. The River Bday bash, dear listener. Yes. Our DJ for the night was born this day, and we're all happy about it, and we are all benefiting from the birth of our dear friend River. Shout out to Dwayne Chamberlain 3.5, who believes that I'm hot. Song number 3. Song number 3, dear listener.
Yes.
This is not a polka dot cadaver song, actually. This is a Knives Out song. The name of the band is Knives Out. The name of the song is Blood Everywhere. Keep in mind, these are videos that Riv listens to when he gets down and depressed and needs a mental health pick-me-up.
Gosh.
Knives Out.
How low
Blood
does it go?
Everywhere. Knives Out is formed of members of Dog Fashion Disco, Polka Dot Cadaver, Nothing Face, and Hell Yeah. This is off their first full-length album, Black Mass Hysteria. Let's go. That's a pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy
title.
Collection of individuals. Here we go. Blood Everywhere. Knives Out. Let's do it. have a big breakdown at the end.
Oh.
Lord everyone!
My gosh.
All right.
I am wondering, Riv, how dark it gets if this song lifts you up. Although, the beat is really good. And the vocals, like, the way that they were...
It's kind of like a... Well, there people saying it sounds like corn. I mean, it definitely had some new metal.
Yeah.
You know, the open down tune.
And there was one of the talking
play.
parts that he did that sounded like...
Yeah. There's definitely some new metal influence there, which is... I was reading an article. Somebody said that new metal is making a comeback. I was like, yes, great.
Well, you'd have to learn to do it.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like the one time I tried to write a new metal song, it was absolute garbage.
It's too complex. Okay.
Entertain Me, You Promiscuous Medusa. I think this is a relationship song. I think this person has made a lot of human beings miserable. You're instantly in love with whenever the blood flows and smiling as it's dripping from your hands after birth, the spawn of a mother, you ignorant and soulless. Yeah, so it looks like this person is like harming everybody around them and isn't happy until she can see people suffering, which is why she only smiles when the blood is dripping from her hands.
Countdown to 12 more years of bloodletting. We're in this together. So he's basically saying, like, he knows the next 12 years are going to be the same as the 12 years that have already passed, probably, and it's just going to be more bloodletting, but we're in this together.
Yeah,
so he's not leaving.
She's only in love, and that's how she gauges love, is some crazy, sick, bad, unhealthy relationship.
Entertain me, you pernicious Medusa.
Promiscuous, right?
Oh, promiscuous.
That's an interesting line, because on the one hand she's promiscuous, which means she's going around with everybody. On the other hand, she's a Medusa. If you look at her, you turn to stone. Mm-hmm. How in the world? This is a badass name and a badass avatar. I'm feeling this shit. Water King Anonymous.
Ooh.
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that.
A shadow character.
Yeah, a shadow figure.
Mm-hmm.
A shadowy figure. Yeah, entertain me, you promiscuous Medusa. As you're climbing up the walls and bleeding everywhere, nervous virgin in a vampire's wet dream, and I just sit and stare as you're bleeding everywhere. Maybe he's talking about himself.
That's what I was going to say.
Nervous virgin in a vampire's wet dream.
Yeah.
Like, this is a situation where, I talked about this a couple songs ago. I was like, where's the songs where the girl is, like, trapping the guy and all the rest of it? This one looks like it's an unhealthy relationship, and it's the girl that's the problem, and he's getting out of there. He's 12 years with Shorty.
No, he said he's staying. We're in this together.
Yeah, I don't think he's staying with her, though. Like, by the end of the song,
it
doesn't look like,
okay.
Your ignorance is enough to keep this circus freak far away from me. So I don't know who the circus
One's
freak
comedy is one's tragedy. All your envy and your jealousy, your ignorance is enough to keep this circus freak far away from you. Who's the circus freak?
I think he's referring to her. She's the circus freak. Once among the fields of sorrow, the red river of floods will rise high, unsympathetic. My conscience is clear. You'll never be welcome back here.
Oh, okay.
So that's, this is one of the things, like, where if you make that boundary, and you're like, okay, like, I'm not dealing with you anymore. People, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Like, people really believe that they're owed your attention. It's crazy to me. Like,
no, people believe they're owed your attention. People don't feel like they're owed my attention. Nobody's ever done that with me where they feel they're owed my attention.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody's ever said, well, that did happen when we were in that circle. It happened to you a couple times, and it did happen to me in that one circle we were in. But other than that, that's not.
Well, yeah, I just don't. I don't like again, like, prior to social media, like, if you had a problem with a person, you just wouldn't talk to them anymore. And they'd stay where they stay, and you stay where you stay. Like, it's fine. But now on social media, everybody's all connected to everybody. Mm-hmm. There's this assumption that, like, I have to keep talking to you.
Comment section.
I don't have to keep talking to you.
You guys, there's 32 of you up in here. Can you guys let me know, does that happen to you guys too, where people feel they're owed your attention and they'll go after if you don't give it to them? Because I don't know if that's like everybody's experience. Because I understand what you're saying. We have our phones. Basically, everybody has a phone. It's not like if you don't have a phone, that's like really bizarre. Most everybody has a phone.
Yeah, we had a
we
homeless
used to
ministry.
work,
Those
right,
people
exactly.
had phones.
They all had phones, and some of them had nicer
Better
phones than we did.
Better
Yeah.
phones than we had.
So everybody has a phone. That means you can contact them via their texting, calling, or a lot of, most everybody has Facebook or some form of other, so there's a lot of, and you'll see people will say, they broke up with somebody, and then they're like, they blocked them. So then they started going on their Instagram. They blocked them there, then they went on their Snapchat. They blocked them there, they went on their, you know what I mean? Like,
weird,
so there's
man.
a lot of different places people can access other people, but I don't know if everybody feels like that. Like, I don't know if that's like your personality type that's happening where people, because I've seen it happen to you in multiple circles. Like I said, it's happened to me in a couple of religious circles. Like, nowhere in the entire time that I've been doing VIN and Sorry has anybody ever treated me like they felt I owed them attention. I don't think that's ever happened to me here. It's only happened to me in religious circles.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta draw lines.
Riz says it happens all the time.
Yeah, it probably does. I mean, it's our modern culture. Like, we really believe. People really, really believe that because you're accessible, you should be accessed. Like, they have no understanding. Like, I got this one guy, like, he's like straight up stalking, like a straight up stalker, like weird shit.
Yeah, it's not right.
Like, everything that I say, even when I'm like not posting on him, man, like it's like following me around. Shit is weird, man. So it makes you think, like, yo, if we were like,
that's so
like,
unhealthy.
if you were to do that in real life. Like, follow me around and like interject yourself in conversation, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
it's weird.
It's funny because sometimes I think to myself, like, wait, like when, what if like neighbors were to start doing that, and then I was like, nah, you wouldn't get like that. You'd shut that down sooner.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about it. I'm pretty good about saying, like, this is the last time we're gonna have this conversation. I mean that shit when I say that shit. When I say that shit, I mean it. So, but I don't know. Like, it's weird. People react. They're like, "Oh, come on, talk to him." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna talk.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, if anybody was getting stalked, like, we wouldn't tell anybody, like, go back and talk to the stalker. Do that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, like, this shit is weird.
Very
That's why I was
unhealthy.
talking to one of my friends. I'm like, just change the genders. Just pretend I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And pretend this dude is like following me around, jumping on me. Like, this shit is weird, bro.
Yeah.
And obviously he wouldn't do that shit in real life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. But he's standing his ground, damn it. He refuses to let you manipulate him.
Okay.
And that's why it says. That's why it says right there, unsympathetic. Yeah, that was a big thing. Come on, Vin, be sympathetic. Nah, bro. Nah, because I gotta be sympathetic to myself too. You know what I'm saying? If there's a relationship that's costing you like all this emotional energy, like, I don't know. Because there's some relationships that, like, you have no choice, that you have them. Like, you have them. And there are other relationships that are voluntarily. Of course, if you look at Dwayne, he says, I'm very attractive, so I get the attention I don't deserve. Well, you're a movie star as well. But, like, this woman is like, you have people like that, like, they always screw up, but they always find a way to get one more chance. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how it works. It's one more chance. It's always one more. And, like, finally, when you get to the point where you're like, no, like, all your chances are gone now. It's over with. Then all of a sudden, like, you're the worst person on the planet, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's an important song, man, because that's something that dudes almost never get taught. Dudes never get taught to respect and honor their own boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, that's a conversation that never happens for dudes. Like, it's a conversation that happens a lot for females, and I'm glad, but, there is a lot of carryover, like, for dude. Like, you got to be aware of it, especially in this environment.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of sympathy for men when they're in, like, situations like... I've seen people laugh when people have brought up that men can get abused. I've seen people laugh about it. Like, how is it funny? Why is that funny? Or, you know what I mean? Like, if the guy is getting stalked by whether it's a girl or a guy, like nobody should be getting stalked by anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Riv says, I particularly like the shift at the end of the last chorus. The song kind of makes me think of the worst relationship I've ever been in.
But
I can imagine.
What was the last line? I'm laughing because I'm thinking of like one of the other lines I'm about to comment on.
Well, he says at the end, sweet revenge is mine just as the tables turn, and I just sit and smile as you're bleeding everywhere. I like, see, I'm not a big revenge guy. I'm not a big revenge guy at all, but I could definitely understand like wanting, like, especially if you've invested like 12, see, I invested 15 years of my life in a person, and you know, whatever, it didn't work out, but like, you put in all that time to have nothing to show for it at the end. Like, obviously you have kids and shit, but like, to me, that was like the hardest thing about like reconciling myself to the fact that, yo, this shit is really like over with, bro. Like, it's over with. Like, that was, it's like, damn, like you put in all that effort, and it gets to the point where it's like you're just operating now for the effort that you put in, not the actual relationship itself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's hard to do all that shit if you feel like you're the only one pulling in a certain direction. You know, obviously, Shorty have a different opinion on it, and shout out to her. But yeah, definitely. But I'm not a revenge guy. Like, I don't feel the need to see my enemies suffer and any of that shit. Like, for me, if a person's out of my life, they're out of my life, like, neutral. Like, I don't want to see anything bad happen to them, and I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm with it. Are you a big revenge person?
It depends on who the person is and what the situation is. So, you know, like, and where I'm at mentally, to be honest with you, because like today, like there was a situation, you know, that had happened semi-recently, and I was pretty frustrated that person, you know, didn't get what I felt they had coming to them after what they did, you know, to very, very special people. And like when somebody uses their strength against somebody that's weaker than them, I think that's really, really sick. And that to me is like, especially if I'm in the vicinity, like I want to even that scoreboard, because you went after that person while I was standing right there. Why didn't you come after? You didn't have any issue with that person. Matter of fact, I was saying more. You know what I'm saying? That situation, no, I did want revenge on that person. I will say, I think I'm in a better state of mind today than I was at that point. And today I'm like, that person has to be a very miserable person, because you can't do all those things. Like that person had it pent up for a long time, and when they blew up, and you just saw all kinds of like irrational shit coming out of their mouth. So to me, like, you can't get to that level unless you've been swimming in negative thoughts and honestly lies for an extended period of time. So I guess like, and that was kind of something that you had said, was you basically said that to me, and that was kind of like what was like the turning point for me. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, you know, and yes. Yeah. So I think that there's like an aspect of me that wants to dole out revenge or whatever, and wants to see someone pay for what they've done. But at the same time, if I look at my own self and I look at anything that I've had that's been like counter, like, or against, I guess you could say, the way that God structured the universe and the way that things should be run, like anytime that I've done something like against that, like I've always made stuff worse for myself, and I've felt the pain of it. So I'm assuming that just because it's happened to me, that also happens to everybody else when they're like that. If you're a shitty person, the world's gonna be shitty back to you. Like, that's how it is. And you know, I had a couple of situations that, like, I kept finding myself in these situations where people were being rude to me, and then I like had to stop and say, like, where is this? Is it really that the whole world is like this? Is it really this? Or is it me? And I'm tipping people off, and people are coming at me with the same energy that they're registering from me. And so I've been making some adjustments, and I have found that the world is kind of but yeah,
that the ingratiate conversation?
Yeah, it was. That really was. That was another game changer moment too.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah. Why is it funny?
I don't know. This is very, very interesting.
You were like, I've been waiting to have this conversation, but looks like we're gonna have it now.
Well, no, the things that hit you and the things that don't. It's just crazy. What you
It's
get
up
this
to a
song?
lot. No, I have to say one more thing. May God forgive me.
Oh,
But there was
no.
a line that said, one person's comedy is another person's tragedy, basically. And it reminded me of Biden. When he made his
Oh my
thing,
God,
when he said his
you
thing.
are the
And it was those
worst.
people's
You are-
Maui's
you are the
tragedy, and he was like,
worst.
all jokes aside. I'm like, how did you do this? Why did you do this? Anyway.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh,
shout
man.
out to Joe Biden and his kitchen that caught fire and shit. That's analogous to the suffering of the
He almost lost his vehicle.
beautiful people in Maui. Yeah, he almost lost his
And his
custom
cat.
GT or whatever, and his cat. Yeah, God.
Anyway,
No one has suffered as
Ryan
as Biden has suffered. Holy
oh,
smokes!
wow. Okay.
9.4. It was a walk down new metal memory lane. I haven't heard a new metal kind of construction in
it's been a
quite
while.
some
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
It definitely makes me go, oh, okay, this is why, because it's so easy to play, but it's also it traps you. It's like, where do I go from here? How low can you down tune a guitar? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.5. I enjoyed it. I liked the new metal influences in it, and what he did with his vocals. So
yeah.
I feel like I always say that. No, I don't.
Well, you
There are
like
times
this.
I'm like,
You
those
got
trash
you
vocals
like
I
this
didn't
guy vocally. All right, guys. Here
There's
we go.
more to
Commercial
come.
break. There is more to come, dear listener. More to come. The GOP debate was today.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, if I was doing the Middle America thing, it would have been popping. All right, here we go. Commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of Alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that
can
off.
also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee,
Can't guarantee
a positive
you a
review.
positive review.
Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
So buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Shout out to the big homie BC. Haven't seen you in a while. As you guys can see here, it is River Roth's birthday. Day
Happy
of birth.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
All
All
right.
right.
Up next is a band called... Did he pull up the trailer?
Pretty sure it's Dog Fashion Disco again.
It is Dog Fashion Disco. The name of the song is 9 to 5 at the Morgue.
Oh my gosh. 9 to 5 at the Morgue. Dog Fashion Disco. River Roth. You guys know what it is.
Dude, do you want to do that remote?
You know, it's so funny in the hood. Dudes always like, you know what it is? It's like, most of the time I really didn't know what it was, to be honest with you. I'm not
Oh,
gonna,
really?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I don't really know what the hell
Of
y'all
course I know what
talking about, but I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I want to be.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. It hit different. All right, here we go. 9 to 5.
Wait, no, we gotta read.
Back
to the Trello board,
that's
please.
right. We can see how
Back
this
to the Lord.
9 to
This
5 at
was
the
my
morgue. We
theme
need to
song.
see. We need to see how this helps Riv's mental health, inshallah.
Riff says, this was my theme song daily going to the AutoZone, only without the set schedule. Oh, the work was soul crushing. To quote the lyrics a bit, within the pale white walls from 9 to 5. Day after day I feel
Oh no.
I feel so cold inside. Let the
stiff that lays the table before me.
Wait, no, there's one more line, please. Now I've got a more set schedule. I don't feel like a corpse walking, and this is a sort of celebration of that. Okay.
All right.
That's good. I'm glad things are getting a little better for you.
Yeah. Let's go. 9 to 5 at the morgue. Polka Dot Cadaver. Dog Fashion Disco. Sorry. Let's do it.
Within the pale white walls, from 9 to 5, day after day, I feel no more alive than the stiff that lies the table before me. Wake up to our late to twist the key, stumble on over to the Mr. Coffee, pour myself a warm black existence. Within the pale white walls, from 9 to 5, day after day, I feel so cold inside, like the stiff that lies the table before me. Wake up too early to twist the key, stumble on over to the Mr. Coffee, pour myself a warm black existence. 9 to 5 at the morgue, overtime for the corpse. Hypnotized by the hum of the freezer, hypnotized by the look in your eyes, hypnotized by the pelvic cadaver, hypnotized by the look in your eyes. 9 to 5.
Wow.
9 to 5 at the morgue.
Conceptually, I really like this song a lot.
This guy, this is the Dog Fashion Disco guy, right?
Yep.
People throw around that genius word a lot, but this guy is like spanning what, 2 or 3 bands?
Yeah, and
Lyrically, he's crazy with what he's doing. Like he's such a badass. Like what he did with the metaphor
Yes.
of the worker working the 9 to 5 and all that. Like lyrically, this dude is crazy. This seems to me like BC's like anthem. Shout out to the big homie BC.
right.
BC's like one of my favorite. All we need now is Ben Webb. He's gonna be tight that he missed the show. I feel bad. I should have emailed him. If I'd have looked at the set list, I'd have emailed the homie because he'd have loved this show.
Well, if he was talking to me, I would have known to email him, but I didn't know he liked it.
It's true. He's the only dude
You
in
get
the
what you
village.
get.
The only dude in the village that's not talking to you.
You get what you get.
Yeah, and there's more. Like he's in other bands
I
too.
believe
This
I
guy.
deserve your attention, Ben Webb. Yeah. Okay. What were you saying? What did you say?
He's also in a band called Beyond Paranoid. I just think what he did lyrically with the concept was crazy. Like he stuck with it from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a concept that's not too hard for folks to get because like all of us feel it. You know, I remember like a couple years ago, I was in Kohl's shopping for something. And me and Dorian were talking about something relative to middle America and employment and all this. And it was right before COVID hit. And Dorian was saying, hey, look at all, you know, there's all these jobs, employment rates are up, you know, the economy's doing great. And the lady interrupted us and said, make sure you put in your video that this is my second job. It's like, yeah. And everybody knows, like, my perspective on Trump. Like, I didn't think Trump was the Antichrist. I thought he did a fairly decent job. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people. But that was a very fascinating moment for me because, like, I'm sure that was against company policy for her to say that. But she was just so frustrated that, you know, and it's especially after COVID, you know, what happened, people can't find housing and all the rest of it. So now you've got an even wider gap between the middle class and, you know, the upper class. And now you've got an entire stable of people that just have to work to like keep their heads slightly above water.
It's not right. Man.
While all these, you know, foreclosures and shit that got paused during COVID got reactivated without any real way for those people to maintain. So you told people not to work. You made them not work. And then when they couldn't pay their payments, you took away their homes. And now rich people are buying their homes. And now we have this crazy inflation. Nobody can find housing. So now people have to work 2 jobs or do 2.5 jobs, do the gig economy, like to make shit work. Like it's a tough situation to be in right now. It really, really is. And I think whoever can speak to that pain and come up with some sort of workable solution is going to get a lot of traction, politically speaking, because this shit is, it's I'm not going to say it's criminal, because the fact of the matter is, like, people all over the world, like, to be honest with you, as Americans, this is kind of like karma. I only feel bad for these folks because they're my fellow Americans, but, I mean, all of us have known that we have outsourced slave labor in the sweatshops and all this. Like, we've known that. And we've always said, oh, that's terrible. Now we're ending up in the sweatshops. Now it's, you know, now it's the end of the world. You know, so there's a part of it where it's like, we were fine.
And it's not sweatshops compared to what they're dealing with.
Correct, because they have insurance, they have OSHA and all the rest of it.
And our children never land in there.
Those kids
we have laws in America.
Yeah.
Our 7-year-olds can't land in a sweatshop naked sewing clothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. And, you know, that's... People could say what they want about Marx, but it was all the, quote, cultural Marxism that made me look into Marx. And obviously, like, eating the rich and all that shit, like, I'm against violence, so I'm not going to co-sign that, obviously. But, like, there's a lot of shit that he was right about, like, you know, writing those factory CEOs or whatever, and you had little girls working, naked beside grown men because they were getting their hair bonnets or whatever caught in these, and these girls were getting skinned alive. Just horrible conditions. And Marx exposed a lot of that shit and turned it around. So like people could say what they want, you know what I'm saying? Like on the one hand, I was like, oh, Trump gave us a good economy. On the other hand, I'm saying, oh, Marx kind of has some points. Like the fact of the matter is, even though I think like we're hypocritical for complaining about it, as far as like the sweatshop thing and the fact that we're dealing with a sweatshop culture right now, I still think there should be some empathy for Americans, even though it's hypocritical. I still think there should be empathy for that, and I still think that somebody should speak to that issue, and maybe inshallah going through this experience will educate us and get us to the point where we say, hey, we can no longer do this to people. But the real question is that there's a certain degree of comfort that outsourcing our slave labor has given us as Americans. And the real question is like, are we gonna give up that comfort for the freedom really of people overseas? Like that's the issue.
I think like sometimes I'm not as political as you. When I think about stuff, I don't even know, maybe my references are wrong. But like when I think about the diamonds, and I talked to you about this the other day, like the diamonds and what we've done with diamonds, like we've hidden a bunch of them away so then we can create a market for them. And then you can raise the price of them, so you can really charge a lot. And I know like I saw it. I saw the fields because, I would drive by like farmers' land and the fields were full of vegetables and I would just let them rot. And I was like, why are they doing this? And then, people that I knew asked them, hey, why? What are you guys selling these? Are you going to put up a stand or can we pick some or whatever? And they said, no, apparently the government, I don't know. It sounds crazy, but the government apparently will pay them to not do that, like not sell their stuff. So they just leave it, which works for them because it lets them rest their ground. But that like it creates a situation where there's less fruit, there's less food available. Obviously, if you have a bunch of squash, then you can sell it for cheaper because you're trying to use it up before it rots. But if you're trying to raise the price of it, then you're going to only sell a more limited amount of it. So it's kind of like, how many situations is the government creating that people don't even realize is happening? And so we're stuck in this system that doesn't even have to be like this. For instance, maybe we would have more money. Maybe we would be like, for instance, I like to use coconut oil for creating a lot of different, products and stuff. So it's kind of the base for a lot of good stuff. And you take the coconut oil, you can buy like whatever, or you can buy Dr. Bronner's, who is fair trade. So when they buy it, they pay a fair price for their coconut oil overseas for it, but it costs more to have that. You want to be able to be fair, you're gonna have to pay more for that. I understand that, and I'm willing to pay that for that product. Do I have enough money to make fair trade on everything that I purchase? Probably not, because a lot of the grocery bill when I get up there, I'm like, yo, this is a lot, and I already know that we're, you know what I'm saying, we're in that. So I don't know if we were more, like I'm saying, if I didn't have to pay $5.49 for a pound of squash, and it was actually 22 cents like back in the day, maybe I would have more money to put fair trade on the clothing and other things. Maybe people wouldn't resort to Shein when they all kind of know it's pretty corrupt. If you had more money floating around.
Oh yeah, and once you start making money, like that's all folks ever start thinking about. Like, we're extremely blessed, but for a good 50% of the channel, we were double timing. I had another full-time job in the corporate world, and I was doing this. Like, it's not what people think it is. Like, we still get friends from YouTube that have 2, 3, 4 times more subs than us that are not making any money. And we're close to 200K, and they've got channels 3, 4, 5, 6 times bigger than ours, and they're not making money. So, like, it's an absolutely brutal game.
I know
as with every sort of storefront in a capitalist environment, it's brutal.
I think that, like, you know, if I ever get the opportunity to be rich, then I want to do things to ease the suffering of other people. Like when you used to work in the corporate world and you were a boss, like, you found ways to, like, raise the morale of people and to not make people feel like that they were being driven into the ground.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, like, I was just telling Vinny about this. I was in the middle of watching a video, but I got interrupted and didn't get a chance to finish it, so I don't know what the ending was. But one person had their camera out, and they were clearly through a drive-in window, and they were like, every time I come in here, you have some kind of attitude. I'm sure you don't just have an attitude with me. I'm sure it's with everybody. Look, if you don't want this job, you don't have to have this job. And that was where I got interrupted. But I was like, what do you mean? Like, people have to work, and the person is working at a drive-through window at a fast food place. That means that he can't just go become a lawyer, or he can't just go get a job at, like, you know, some big giant company and have, like, this high-paying whatever. Like, this is the job that he has. And like, all of us that have worked a job, you get tired of your job. You get tired of the punch in, the clock out, and you get tired of being used as, like another tool that's there. Like,
yeah,
you're
100%.
You know, you're doing all this, and it's just the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. And it's hard for people. And I think that, like, I think that when we're in that situation, we're like, okay, so for instance, this is something that keeps getting brought to my attention. So when I used to push carts when I was 15, I friggin' hated it. And I was like, what is wrong with people? Why can't you put the cart away? How hard is it? You just walked through the entire grocery store. Now you use the cart to go out to the car, and you can't take 15 steps and put it in the cart corral at least? Like, maybe you don't have to bring it to the front, but the cart corral, so I can just collect them from there and bring it. And I said, I am never going to do this to people. I won't lie. I won't. I do. I do. I don't want to walk the 15 steps to go put it in the cart corral. I want to put it up on the curb that's right by my vehicle. I don't want to go anywhere. And if the kids are in the car, I use the excuse that the kids are here, so I don't want to be away from the car because the kids are in there. Or if it's like, I always have some reason for why I'm not going to push the cart to the corral. Although recently I've been trying to, you know, do better about that. But, like, I think that until we get to the point where we look at other people and we see them, you love people like you want to be loved, and you understand that, look, if you had to do, this is the same excuse, and believe it or not, I literally even thought the same thing people used to say. People would be like, well, if I push the cart to the corral, there won't be a job. And when I was pushing the carts, I was like, that's right, I won't have to push carts. They'll put me on something else inside.
Right.
And, but I'll use the same excuse now. I'm like, well, I don't want to take anybody's job for them. But it's just ridiculous. So I think that, like, overall, like, if all of us as a whole, like, we can't do anything about the corporate people and make them, you know, pay better or make them whatever. Like, at this point, like, they're doing their thing. But we as individuals today can change stuff for the people that work. So when we go to the grocery store, when you go to the gas station, when you go anywhere, like, don't take out your frustrations on those people. Understand that those people are feeling the same dragged out tiredness that you feel when you're at your job. And so do something to brighten those people's day instead of, like, making stuff more miserable for people or making zero impact at all. So, like, that was kind of like the song reminded me of that, and it's been something that's kind of been on my mind, and I've been trying to do better when I go places and try to, you know, kind of go out of my way to be more grateful when people do stuff and when people help you out. But that's literally something that it's not about the rich. This is another one of those situations where everybody wants to point at, like, the corporate guys and be like, wow, they're doing so bad. They're cheating people so much of their money. They have to work 2 jobs. Yeah, well, we can't change that for now. I mean, we can vote to try to change those things, but tomorrow, we can all make changes tomorrow. We can all make people's day better. You know, the people that hold the stop sign and the slow sign when they're doing road construction, like, sometimes you feel frustrated because you have to sit in those lines. Don't take it out on that person.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Good song. 9.4 for me.
That's so weird. That's the same
Would you
number
give
I
it
have.
9.4?
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll be right back. We got
9.4
more. We got
dumb butts.
more.
We have more. River's birthday has not ended, dear listener. We continue.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at VinAndSorri@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch indeed.
A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Here we are.
Would you like some Red Bull?
In the midst of the Republican national debate.
We're in the middle of River's birthday.
River Roth's
He decided-
day of birth.
Oh, they decided to celebrate with us this year, and here we are.
Here we are indeed.
Okay, so up next, I'm waiting for Trillion.
Dog Fashion Disco, dear listener.
Yes, the next song coming up is a song called Grand Experiment.
Grand Experiment, Dog
Riv
Fashion
says,
Disco.
a song sampling the style of guitar and surfer music that gives me a real good vibration. One thing I'll say to every song I've heard of DFD, Polka Dot Cadaver, and every project this group gets involved in, they are genreless and proud of it. There are some songs one could easily classify as country.
Oh, gosh.
Or ska, SKA.
Ska, yeah.
Or punk, or heavy metal. It's why I really love them. They will pull something from any possible genre and make it their own. The solo in this one is one of my favorites of Jason's Steps. Okay.
All right, here we go. This should be interesting. Dog Fashion Disco. The name of the song is, you say Grand Experiment?
Yeah, I think that's what I said.
Here we are. Let's do it. We got an official video. Hopefully they get one.
I need some of that flower power, 'cause I'm growing weaker by the hour. Shattered my jaw, collapsed my veins. Creepy crawlers dig a maze in my brain. Dizzy dipples in the chorus line. Jello gyrating in and out of time. Stabbing pains, intense withdrawal. I can't pick up
Beautiful.
God loves his children. God loves his children. God loves his children. God loves his children. Ring around the rosy, I'm so happy that God chose me to be the pincushion lab rat in his grand experiment. I kick the asylum doors wide open, out into the world, to feel the sunshine on my face. God loves his children. Right before your eyes. God loves his children. Right before your eyes. God loves his children. Before your eyes. God loves his children. Right before your eyes. And they said it couldn't be done, and in the end it wasn't. Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home. Lifeline, cut it off. Lifeline, cut it off, cut it off. Lifeline, cut it off. Lifeline, cut it off, cut it off.
Cut it off.
Okay.
Cut off the lifeline. That was our friends in Dog Fashion Disco. This was a little bit more of a complex song, a little bit progressive almost, only not whack progressive, like really good progressive. That makes sense and doesn't just show off that you went to a, guitar university or whatever.
Well, I mean, he has.
I'm not calling
he has
out
a-
any specific band, OTEP. Okay. Go ahead. Let's go. We got
he
the
has,
lyrics here.
Well, he has a lot of different songs and a lot of different genres, so maybe he's like, I don't have to pack it all in one. You know, you
Yeah,
can kind of make
or
some that match.
he's just actually talented, and there's a difference between being trained and being talented. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that are trained that are doing a great job as far as that shit go, but does not move people. And for me, music is about moving people. I need some of that flower power because I'm growing weaker by the hour. Shatter my jaw, collapse my veins, creepy crawlers dig a maze in my brain.
Ugh.
So he needs flower. He needs some ganja
I guess.
because he believes that the ganja is going to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the idea?
I guess. Shattered my jaw. Collapsed my veins.
Yeah, he got wrecked. Whatever happened to him, he got wrecked. Dancing devils in a chorus line. Jello gyrating in and out of time. Stabbing pains, intense withdrawal. I can't pick up if you don't call. Looney bin freak out, death camp, skin and bones. I'm no fun to be around. Please don't leave me here alone. So he's at the
He's gotten checked in.
he's at the psych ward. It looks like he got checked in because he's saying I can't pick up if you don't call. So they left him alone in the funny farm. That's what. Shout out to Ed Mank. Rest in peace to the homie. That's what he used to call. He's like, yeah, Vin, we're in the funny farm. This is
He did?
nonsense.
This is
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah, he's like, we're all crazy here. Because someone's like, yo, I'm crazy, blah, blah, blah. And Ed goes, this is nonsense. We're all crazy here. It's a funny farm, you idiot. Shout out to Ed Mank.
Are you serious? It turned into a, like, I'm more crazy than you?
Oh, yeah, that was a big thing. Like, you're
That's
crazy.
right, you said that.
Your
That's-
craziness level, your suicide level.
I can be
Shout
more
out to Amy
destructive than you.
Lee Forever. Yeah, like, were you really serious about killing yourself, or were you just doing it for attention? Like, it's literally like those were the conversations. You had people that were like measuring the validity of people's attempts, all types of shit. You know how things go. Like, there's always got to be an elite group somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Everything.
But I did see people that never got visited.
Yeah,
Like,
I did too.
I toward like the last 3 months, nobody came to visit me because my mom was banned from the hospital. They banned her, and nobody else was in the state. So I was pretty much by myself for 3 months. But I was okay with that because I was at war with Mom Dukes anyway. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It was a good thing that they put some distance between us. But if somebody never visited me or never picked up the phone, because there were times that I was able to call my brother, talk to him. I was able to call Shorty once in a while, although she wasn't really She wasn't really interested in talking when I was in there, but 'cause she was talking to homeboy. But like, yeah, that would be hard if like nobody talked to me, and if like, you know, I knew that my little brother would have come if my mom was able to come. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot different. Like, if your family like chooses actively not to see you when you're in like the worst situation in your life, it could be pretty difficult. So
Yeah.
that's what he says. Looney bin freak out, death camp. You know, especially when you first show up. When you first show up there, it's definitely an experience because like you're all screwed up from whatever it is that landed you in there. Your brain's all cloggy. Most of us like you know try to use pills or whatever. So it was like your brain was all screwed up. You know, it took me a couple days to like get right sized because they dump all the charcoal down, you throw up all it's just like it's literally like a Living Dead kind of scene type of situation. But everybody's kind of like in the same situation. So,
Wow.
But yeah, it definitely like felt the first couple days and weeks. It felt like we were in a death camp because everybody was talking about death too. Because it was suicide attempts. Like we're all, you know what I'm saying?
How healthy do you think that is to put everybody like that together?
Well, what's fascinating to me, in my opinion, the most dangerous stuff came from some of the, counselors, not the people.
What do you mean?
Because the people were already crazy. So, like, you knew that if I was speaking, you were talking to a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I might listen to what Vin has to say or not. But if, like, a counselor says it, a person with some vested authority says it, the people take what they have to say a lot more seriously than what your fellow
That makes sense, but what did they say that was...
Well, like, for example, with me, where they were blaming everything on my parents.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
and, so that I didn't have to take any responsibility for anything. And I'm sure that they thought they were being nice to me, but that's not what I specifically needed. I didn't need that, your parents suck. I already knew that they sucked. I needed to take responsibility and accountability for my own actions.
I heard somebody say it's not about blaming other people, but it's about understanding where you came from.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and I think that's like
that's important, but that's not what's going on with these guys.
Right.
At least not for me, And so, like, there are some guys that were great, that, in my opinion, I thought they were great, but the hospital was like always on the edge with them, because the guy was like an ex-Navy SEAL, and he would say things like, "Well, then just kill yourself." Then, like, he was crazy, but he spoke the most to us, both me and Ed. That guy spoke the most to us. He's like, "You're a really emotional guy," he said. I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, blah, I see people shot, blah, blah, blah." He's like, yeah. The only people I know that play guitar for that long are emotional guys.
Oh.
And, like, he called me out in front of the whole room and everything. I was like, okay.
Did you not like that? Or did you...
No, I respected it because, like, I didn't have the self-awareness. Like, yeah, dude, like, you're putting a lot of your emotions through the guitar. Like, I didn't understand that because I was so focused on, like, trying to learn my scales and shit and, like, realizing, like, how far I have to go on guitar that I wasn't, like, getting the spirit of what I was doing. But, yeah, man, like, ring around the rosy, I'm so happy that God chose me to be the pincushion lab rat in his grand experiment. Like, a lot of people, when they're going through a dark season like that, they just feel like they're just getting attacked.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel bad for those people because they have an awareness of God, an awareness somehow of God's sovereignty that, like, at some level, if God is all powerful, he could stop this thing from happening to me. But they don't come to God for the comfort.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting theology that these dark intelligences whisper to us. It's like, we will give God credit for the terrible things in our life, but we won't give him enough credit that he will comfort us or anything like that. So, like, your only belief in God is to stand and blame him for the bad things that are happening, but not go to him for comfort. So then what are you going to go to for comfort? Well, he says he's got the flower power and all the rest of it, but obviously that's not going to solve the problem at the deep level.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is that we don't recognize all the time, especially when you're in a really bad spot, you don't recognize all the areas in which God, so you only see the bad side. So for instance, the Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes down from God. So, like, anything good that comes into your life, that's from God. Reza, I'm going to have to ask you to stop doing that.
Just go ahead.
So like every perfect, like every good gift that you have in your life comes from God, but sometimes we're so bent on seeing the negative that you cannot see the positive anymore. So like for instance, if there is dark intelligences, and obviously we believe that there are, those like to bring fear. They like to bring terror. They like to, just this darkness, this heaviness that never feels like it's going to lift. And so anytime that you're not experiencing terror, you're experiencing some goodness from God's hand. And a lot of times that gets overlooked. Or I know these things sound so basic, but there's so many things that we just, and I think that I've kind of been on this like journey of like returning to a kind of like a state of gratefulness, because I think I was kind of getting to that place where I felt like everything was just, I think I was getting really negative about a lot of things. But like, even there's so many things that we take for granted, and we don't even recognize like how amazing it is. Like, I mean, even the fact that God like holds everything together, and the fact that we wake up from sleeping and we can breathe, and there's so many involuntary things that our body does to take care of us, and we don't even realize that it's happening because it's so out of our minds. Mm-hmm. If you get cut today, that starts healing immediately, and it's going to be healed in a couple of days. But that's because God is giving you something good, and God is healing you. And I think that we those are things that we're like, yeah, who even thinks about that? If you get cut today, that God is starting to heal you. You've been accepting that healing at his hand for years, maybe your entire life, and you've never turned back to say, hey, thanks for doing that. You think that that's just happening because some puddle of ooze became something back a long time ago, so I think that perspective is really, really important. And when we have a negative perspective, and when we think that God is just bad all the time, and he's after us, or he's holding like everything like a carrot in front of our nose, or he's using us like a pincushion, those types of things, like it, when your mindset gets that point, and it's not even something that you fake, it's like something that you are, and you live in that. And it's like you say, a fish doesn't know it's wet, but you just start realizing that you're just miserable all the time. You're miserable, and you can't see, there's no positive, there's no break from anything. It's just, everything is just bad all the time. Well, maybe that's because you're just seeing only the bad, and that's you've like trained yourself, because our minds are incredibly powerful, and they will see and take in and believe what we believe. Like, that becomes too much, like so much of our reality. So if you believe that God is like that, then that's the way that you're going to see it. You're going to see everything that happens in your life as all these negative, and it's like, oh, he's doing all these things, but you're missing all the grace that's been around you. And, like I said, we take that for granted. None of us are guaranteed our life. Nobody's promised tomorrow, but yet, we expect it. We make plans for tomorrow. We make plans for next week or next year, because we expect that we're going to still be breathing. We expect that God's going to keep giving us what he's been giving us. But we don't even turn to thank him, or turn to acknowledge that he's done those things in our lives. And I'm talking to myself first, because like I said, I've progressively, as the years have gone on, have become more and more pessimistic. And I've been really realizing that lately, and it's actually like changing my perspective, and I'm starting to see things differently, and I'm starting to realize that there's actually like a lot of good and overlooked gifts. And that's one of the reasons also why I love having kids, is because they kind of put you in those situations where you teach them these things, and then they start seeing it, and they'll announce it whenever they see it. Like every time Orion gets hurt, he's like, God's healing me. And then when it heals, he's like, look at that, God healed me. And it's like, yeah, like that's his reality.
Turn it off, little bro.
You just turned that on. Please turn it off.
Love it. What'd you give this song?
I gave this one a 9.1.
Yeah, I gave it a solid 9.4. I did give it a 9.1, but the solo pushed it up. I did like the Beach Boys type aesthetic. Like, I feel like some of this shit is random, but like when you're really smart like that, you can do like 5% of random shit. People think you did it on purpose. Like, I've written shit on guitar that's like really good, and it's like completely accidental. Like, oh, wait a second, you like you witnessed one, and I was like, oh shit, hold on, that's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Isn't it better to think God is bad because you believe he exists, and not to think on him at all? I agree with that. I agree with that. If you look at the Psalms, you have the psalmist going at it with God, and that's obviously better for God than not talking at all.
No, are we talking about talking? Yeah, I agree. If you're talking to him, and you're saying, look, I think you're bad for this, you're wrong for this. Yeah, I think people should talk. I do think though that I don't think that you can
better than thinking completely nothing about him.
Thinking that he doesn't exist at all.
Yeah,
I
like
do
not
think,
thinking
though,
about God at all to me is a lot worse than thinking he's bad. Because in Hebrews it says, to please God, you must first believe that he is. And it goes into the faith chapter. It says, to please God, you have to first believe that he is. So if you're walking around,
you've already pretending, that's interesting.
You're already denying that he is.
Yeah. Okay.
So not even the devil does that.
Yep.
I mean, the devil has enough sense to know that God exists, and he think. See, the thing is, when you're mad at somebody, you're more inclined to think about them. Mm-hmm. You know, they're the person in your mind. That's one of the reasons why I do my best not to get mad at people. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I feel myself getting really, really angry with a person, that's when I like completely shut down. Because I don't want that person in my mind. So before I get to the point when I'm genuinely angry with them, that'll be it. Because I don't want to make that emotional investment in anybody. Mm-hmm. Especially if I'm beefing with the person. I definitely don't want to, like, for me, the best thing is like they just, I don't say it like that, but yeah, anyway, I think God absolutely prefers.
I would say, yeah, I think especially because you brought up that verse, I'm really into Hebrews right now too. But there's a verse in Hebrews that says, yeah, shoot, I forgot where I was going to go with that. I think I agree with you though. I don't think though that God will leave you forever in that state where you're just only and ever angry at him. And hold on, let me finish that. There's a verse in Hebrews that basically says, like, today if you hear his voice, like, don't harden your hearts like they did when they were roaming around in the wilderness. He says, don't do that. If you hear his voice today, like respond to him while you can still call it today, because there's going to come a time where there's no longer time. Because we live in an existence where there's been a beginning and there will be an end, but then we're going to enter an existence that's outside of time. It's timeless, and it's eternal, like God is eternal. And so I think that in that sense, he's saying you can still say today because we are still living in time. You're still alive. You're still breathing. It's today for you. You can call today. So if you're hearing God today and you feel him saying, hey, like, this is truth, but you're afraid because there are different things that don't make sense to you, then you can be like that guy that came up to him and he said, look, I believe, but help my unbelief. Because he was having a conversation with Jesus, and Jesus said, do you believe? And he said, I believe, but help my unbelief. And I think that that's really, really important. If today you feel like, wait a minute, I think this God thing is true, but I have a lot of problems with some of the things that it says in there, that's okay. We can start with that. We can work with that. But if you feel that today, then respond to that and say, God, you know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that you are, but I don't know if I can swallow all the rest of this stuff. And he's going to help you with that. But I think that definitely there's something really, and I haven't really like completely like wrapped my heart around it, but there's something really, really important about when you have that moment. And I think part of it is because I had a moment where I felt like God was like, jump on this moment, and I didn't, and stuff got really, really dark for me for a while. And so the next time I had one of those moments pop up, I was like, it's today. I'm jumping on this one. And so I don't know why that happens, where stuff kind of like can go in like cycles, and there's no promise that you're going to have another one of those days either. So yeah, I guess, right. If you're angry with him, I would actually think that that's probably a good sign, because like you said, there's already belief, which means that God is already pleased with you, even in your angry state. Mm-hmm.
Agree.
And
I also agree,
BC,
but the universe isn't infinite, so we're not God. I agree with you. Go ahead.
Shoot, I forgot. Anyway.
All right, 9.4, what you give it?
I think I gave it a 9.1.
All right, stay where you are, dear listener. We have
right
one
back.
more song coming for you. We shall return. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at VinAndSOri@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We're in the midst of the River Roth birthday. Shout out to the big homie River. River has been someone who God has brought into my life. I've learned a lot from homie. We've fought a lot. River has shown me the virtue of patience. River has shown me the virtue of turning the other cheek. River has shown me the virtue of not always having to have the last word in a conversation. The biggest thing that River has taught me is to have compassion. And I'm a very, very, very difficult person to get along with. So I appreciate anybody that can find a way to maintain that kind of patience with an individual like me for such a long time. And I mean that genuinely, Riv. For real. So anyway, just wanted to say that. Happy birthday to River Roth.
Bring the little cake that you made.
Come over here.
Bring the candle thing.
Oreo, come here. And Riv, Oreo has something as well.
Come here. Bring it over here.
He's got blocks and stuff.
He was singing a little birthday song. Come here.
Any day now, Yarasul. What is okay.
He'll explain it. Come here.
All right.
Are we on the last song?
Yeah, this is the last song.
Okay.
Hopefully, River.
That's good, buddy. Come here.
I just talked about how patient. Okay. Come
show?
over here. All right. You want to tell him what it is?
Yeah, candles.
It's candles.
It's candles. Oh yeah, is this the fire? The candles for the birthday? Are we gonna sing?
Yeah.
Okay. Name is River. Ready?
Happy birthday to you.
Sing.
Happy birthday. Are you going to sing with us?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear River. Happy birthday to you. See, here's your candles, bro. Blow them out. That was so corny. All right, get out of here. How long? Give me a kiss.
No, it was cute.
That was very
Kiss
nice.
Daddy.
There it goes. I love you. Go ahead.
Here you go, buddy. Here's your flames.
All right.
All right. The last song.
The last.
Not to be confused with the end of the stream.
Yes, not.
We know how much the reviews aren't over in 10 minutes, so we've got we still have plenty to go. All right, the last song is called Last Call in Jonestown.
Last Call in Jonestown.
River says the final song
dear
tonight,
listener.
the title track off of what I think might be the best album under the name Polka Dot Cadaver, a song about the cult run by Jim Jones. Todd Smith's lyrics often reference serial killers, cults, murderers.
That's why he was talking about Charles Manson.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep. Such as Son of Sam, Jim Jones, etc. While also referencing pop idols. One will note of the shirts they sell is that all have famous dead people on them, such as David
Bowie, Prince, Marilyn Monroe, the Unabomber, or Jim Jones on them. Outside of the Knives Out track, all these they performed on the 11th. All right, here we go. What's the name of this song again? It's Jonestown. Last Call in Jonestown. Didn't we do a song called Jonestown Tea or something like that? All right, here we go. River Ross birthday,
Probably.
bitches. Let's do this
Made
shit.
that
Let's go.
Kool-Aid.
Sunday mantras repeated together. Predict second comings, I forecast the weather. Snakes never bite us, gathered we sing. God is our shepherd, the glory, the king. I'm knocking on your heart's door, let me inside. Follow me now, let me be your guide. Gather now children and welcome the dead. And silence the beast inside of your head. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, Jonestown, bottoms up. Swallow the hemlock, drink from the cup. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, Jonestown, bottoms up. Swallow the hemlock, drink from the cup. Pupils dilated, roll over white. I am a witness to heaven's bright light. Join hands now, ye faithful, in worship we sing. But the light is too bright, I can't see a thing. Save us now, Father, from what we've become. Bring us together now as one. Guide us to paradise, to Jesus the Son. Save us now, Father.
up the lyrics, please.
Them boys, whew, those guys are a problem, bro. This was such a good song. The metal in here was like, Riv was right. Like when they decide they want to get heavy, like nobody can really deal with this band. This band is crazy. Like it's crazy to me how talented this group is. This dude is. I'm giving him too much credit. I mean, it's the entire band, right? I mean, he's not the one that's writing all the what do you call it? But holy shit, there's a really cool. It's kind of an idea that we thought about, like, because I've been accused of being a cult leader so many times that, like, I always say, like, nobody ever does one of these documentaries from the perspective of the cult leader.
Yeah.
Because there's never a discussion as to maybe these cult leaders found themselves the leaders of cults and had no intention of doing that. Like, there's the assumption that if you're a cult leader, you did that shit on purpose. Like, people don't understand, like, the concept that, has it ever occurred to you that people want cults?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like,
I agree. Yeah.
Like,
people. Yeah.
I mean,
I've definitely witnessed it. People want it.
You even see with Jesus, like, it said they wanted to make him king by force.
Right. Right.
Like, and so, like, the human psychology of wanting a human leader that has godlike knowledge, which you have to assume about a person if you're just going to slavishly listen to everything they say, to the point where you will literally take your own life on their command. Like, you have to, there's a lot of shit that has to go on psychologically to get to that point. And the idea that it's only the cult leader that, you know, creates that atmosphere. Like, there's no, like, research into the idea that maybe the cult leader is just as much of a victim of the cult as the people in the cults are. Like, there's nobody's thinking that way.
Yeah, but I think that you're talking about your experiences, because people have, you never wanted a cult, and we're watching this thing, like, basically, like, how to become a cult leader. Right. So they're it's kind of like an ironic way of doing it, right? Because they'd be like, next you'll have to do this, and then they, like, bring up something else crazy that these cult leaders all have in common. And, like, there's similarities with, like, your, like, the way that you execute things that like matches the cult leaders. However, there are things that, like, don't match. Like, you don't get benefit from your cult followers. Like, they benefit from you. So you're working the cult thing wrong, babe.
Yeah, I lose a lot of money and a lot of sleep.
That's so bad. Cults. Yeah, and time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just think that there's got to be one of them, David Koresh, one of these people, where it was like, because initially when people react to you that way, it's like, oh, holy shit, this is cool, people like me. But then, like, that first moment when you realize that people are obsessed with you, and they'll literally, like, jump off a bridge if you tell them, that's a terrifying moment. That's when you're like, holy shit, this thing is spun out way farther, and then they get so attached to you that it's almost like you can't leave without some sort of consequence. So it's just like, you saw what happened when I tried to, like, create some distance with people.
You weren't even leaving.
Crazy. I wasn't even leaving.
You just said, I'm not going to see you for this amount of days.
Right.
Like, because they were used to seeing you multiple. They were used to seeing you multiple times a week, and he said, one of the days I won't be there. Yeah. People melted down. They were angry. They were cried. It was.
Oh yeah, people cried. People said they hated me, all type of shit. So it was like, I was seeing what was going on. Oh, what's up, Sadie? I was seeing what was going on, and I think terrified is probably but it was one of those things where I was jarring. Like, I was looking down into the future, and I'm like, I don't see a way out of this situation.
There wasn't.
And that's what really, like, kind of screwed me up in the situation. Was like, I'm like, yo, there's no way to get out of this. So, like, I could imagine, like, somebody in, like, some doomsday cult that likes to say crazy shit and, you know, just to get people, you know, whatever. And then, like, because sometimes, like, as a leader, you'll just say something, and then if people, like, jump on it, like, yeah, let's do that. Let's just smack 5 random people. Like, whoa, wait a second. And then they go out and do it. We did it for you. It's kind of like having a dog, and the dog comes back with, like, a rat, you know, like, at the door, like, as an offering. Cats, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, thanks, man. But, whoa.
Yeah.
So, like, I obviously, I think that in the Jonestown situation, it was probably, ran completely by, Jim Jones and all that. I think that's true for the majority of them. But I do think that there are people that get put in cult-like situations and don't know how to extricate themselves. And yeah, I'm talking about my own personal experience because it's happened on multiple occasions.
I really
Riv
think
says,
that the
I don't know,
difference-
man. The cult practices like love and hate bombing folks to make them dependent as part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
They like
again,
love bombing folks. Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, it's love and hate bombing. But again, it's like when you go to Nikisha's church, they'll quote love bomb you, but they're genuine. Like they'll come up to you, hug you. What's your name?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And they're not trying to do anything like nefarious. That's just how they are. Nikisha, they're all
Yeah,
very
no.
loving.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
that's a whole group of people that are. There's a certain type of personality that's that charismatic. I mean, you have that charismatic personality. It's just you. Your big fail, babe, is you don't try to benefit off the people. Like literally, they just suck the life out of you, and then finally.
I don't want to characterize it that way. People just suck the life out of me. Like,
I saw it.
I had a lot of great moments with people.
You did.
I don't want to characterize the thing that way. It was just
the cult-like aspects of it were like
very
that.
imbalanced, and I could not find a way to get out of the situation. And all I'm saying is, like, I do think that there's at least one or two, like Manson, for example, was a CIA tool. Really, I mean, that's come out. That's open source. Like, the CIA did a lot of that shit. So it wasn't just, oh, I'm Charles Manson and I'm going to start this cult. Like, he was specifically chosen by the CIA, and he was an operative for those guys.
See, like that.
The agency guys are operatives, and then the D boys are operators. Okay, just don't want to make anybody mad, but good because I got an email. That's not the correct.
Actually.
Okay, so if you're in the agency, you're an operative, and then if you're whatever, you're an operator. Okay, how about that? Okay.
I wonder if there were any like bizarre tactics or things that were used on him to kind of make him the man that the government needed that he then used on those girls.
Yeah, I think, I do think that he had a flair about him. Like, you have to have some sort of charisma. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the other thing is charismatic people, I'm not sure if they know they're charismatic. Like, there were years when I would hear, like, the definition of charismatic. I'm like, oh, yeah, those people. Like, I would have never characterized myself as a charismatic person. So my point is, like,
Really?
there's the assumption that these leaders have this sort of self-awareness. Like, I don't like Obama create, like, perfect example for me is Trump. Like, Trump obviously has a cult, but I think he's terrified of it. I don't think that the crazy Ashley Babbitt type MAGA people would get within 5 feet of Trump in the real world. I think he's terrified of those people.
I think you're right.
He'd be like, "Listen, you keep that broad away from me, bro. Like, these people are crazy."
You should have used his voice.
Yeah, if I was Trump, I'd be like, "Listen, if that dude's wearing a MAGA hat, keep him the fuck away from me, dude." Like, honestly, I feel like Trump is a guy like that started a cult and did not want to do it because what people have to understand, it's like they're only looking at the ego side of being a cult leader. They're only looking at the ego, so they're like, "Oh, that would be so big on my ego if all these people were slavishly following me." They're not looking at the other side of it, which is you have to be everything for these people. You have to be their mother, their brother, their sister, their psychologist, their doctor, all types of shit. Like, you're the bank. You are everything.
No, babe, that's not how it works for these cult leaders.
You don't
they
know
are not
that.
I'm watching all of their stories.
You're
How
watching
much
a
money
Netflix. You're watching a half-hour
babe,
Netflix
how much
show.
money did Jim Jones give his people? Okay, what's his face? Koresh guy? Who was the guy that Waco Drive guy? Him? He made it so that David Koresh. He made it so all those husbands couldn't have sex with their own wives. He had sex with all their wives. Well, they did nothing. He was benefiting off of them. Like,
I'm not saying that dudes don't benefit.
You just said that they had the wallet.
What I'm saying is the focus is on the ego kill and not on all the things that the cult leader has to give.
Yes, but I don't believe the cult leader is giving that
to the followers.
I think
Well,
you
listen,
did that.
Marshall Applewhite went along with them and killed themselves. Jim Jones went along and killed
You
himself.
just said the wallet. That means that he's giving like his own finances
What's
to those
rarer,
people.
somebody to give their life or their wallet?
No, I think he believed his own
Well,
stuff.
what's rarer though?
It's rarer to give your own life for something, but he believed it. So then it loses its significance.
I don't know if he believed it or not.
You think he let himself die and he didn't know?
I've seen people die over real dumb shit for sure. You would be surprised.
What do you mean?
People have died over the stupid. I've told you some of the stupid shit that I told you. 12 dudes ended up dying because dude was all egomaniacal and all types of shit and drove himself into a bad situation that everybody and their mother told him not to.
Yep,
and
that's
not
not
only
the same.
did he
That's
die,
not the
11
same.
other people died with him. My point is simply to say, when we think about cult leader, we're only thinking about one side of it, which is like, for example, Trump, in order to start his cult, he absolutely took a pay cut. To be the president, he took a pay cut.
Yes, but again, you just listed that Trump doesn't he's not like with all this with his followers.
He doesn't.
Okay.
But he got elected,
exactly.
so there's nothing he could do.
Exactly. And he's giving his money. Whoa, that's following the same pattern. People followed you religiously, and you gave your money too. But then there are other people
That's the
who
point I'm
only
making.
benefit off of their
I
people.
understand that. What I'm saying is that guy who's only benefiting and not giving anything is a stereotype that people who have never been cult leaders assume about the cult leader. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You're assuming
Yes.
that. People were looking
Yes.
at me and nobody would say, oh, that guy's paying most of it.
No.
Nobody would assume that.
No.
So if you just went with the assumption, it's like, oh, this dude's around a bunch of girls all the
Exactly.
time, blah, blah, blah. Everybody
Exactly.
loves him, yada, yada. But they didn't know what I was actually dealing with. So that's
Right.
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
Right.
when Trump got elected, I think he was just as surprised as all of us.
Oh, I think so too.
And I think he's just too big of a...
Go back and watch the video. He
Ego-
looked surprised.
Yeah, I just think he's too much of an egomaniac to say, I don't really want the job, give it to the girl. He wasn't going to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, the thing just, like, takes off and takes a life of its own. Like, you hear rock stars talk about it all the time when they finally get to that status. And all I'm saying is, like, definitely, like, the cult leader benefits from the cult for sure. But, like, there are some costs to being a cult leader. It's a reason why they end up dying a lot of the time. I mean, think about it. I think they're just like, man, I'm tired of this shit. I just want to end this shit. I can't deal with this shit no more. And, like, they get out of there.
I mean, I do think that there has to be a conversation on the flip side because, like, when I saw people around you and the way that they got, like, it was not everybody was like this, but some people got extremely, like, obsessed. And so I think that there is something to be said of people wanting a cult leader. They want somebody that
That's
they
what
can
I'm saying.
prop up and they can say, this is our leader and let's follow
That's
him
what
and
I'm
let's
saying.
not have to think stuff through. Let's just, run it through the grid of whatever he has to say.
Right. And I was constantly trying to tell people, think for yourself.
Mhm.
Think for yourself. What would happen if I died in a car accident?
Mhm.
You're going to have to open the Bible and figure some shit out. If I'm dead, like, I'm not going to, I say all the time, like, I'm not going to be around you guys forever. And then I get like 15 people. Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Blah, blah, blah.
You missed the point. Only heard you weren't going to be there. Oh my gosh.
Well, that was the point, though. Like, I was trying to prepare people because I was like,
Yeah, but they weren't worried
it's like
about
you,
the
I had to get out of
preparation.
there.
All they focused on was that their leader wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think Trump just likes people. I agree with that. I think he genuinely likes people and genuinely has a curiosity about people. Like my friend,
That's how you are.
my friend worked on a
That's what I'm saying.
security detail for Trump. He said, and he's black, like he's like in the hood, Bronx dude, black. And he's like, yo, he was like the coolest. Like he said, he had more problem with some of the rock bands than Trump as far as like attitude and shit. Like, and this was after he became the president. So that's why I was like, he's not the guy that you guys are saying that he is. Like, he does terrible things, all, but he's not the guy that you're saying. Because I know people that are working as security detail. Like, he's not what you're saying he is. You know what I'm saying? But to Amy's point, it's true. Like, she used to see him a lot, and he would just wave to people all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of that about, like, cult leaders. I think, like, what would happen if so-and-so was, like, in a different world, like a different timeline, and was able to harness those powers for good. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that can find ways to harness that energy for good. I think.
That's why I don't think they wanted to. I think that they wanted to benefit off the people.
Well,
and then I
mean,
do
you're
agree with you.
Speaking from a complete position of not knowing what it's like. Though.
No, I don't know what it's like, but I saw it happening. I don't, but I saw it from somebody who didn't want that.
You don't know the intentions of people, though.
What do you mean?
Like, if you see one dude and there's like 5 girls around him, you're gonna think, oh, we know what's going on with
Babe,
that
I'm
dude.
talking about the Waco Drive guy. He made his intentions clear. He had sex with everybody's wife and they couldn't have
that
it.
evolved over time. That evolved over time. I get what you're saying. I'm saying that there are cult leaders who the stereotype is exactly right. What I'm saying is there are some cult leaders that are just carried away with it, and the train is going and they don't know how to get off. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. And I'm sure that even the cult leaders that wanted it and that do want it, I'm sure that they have times where they're like, holy shit, this is overwhelming. These people are constantly after me. Like, they don't have any space.
Yeah, it's
like
tough.
Some of the, who was that guy that the Nexium guy?
Nexium, yeah.
like him?
Steve something or other, yeah. Weird guy.
Yeah. Who's Steve Koresh? Did we just?
But you know, he was knocking out 30, 40 girls, and these are like upper middle class, like you know, like I that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. I get it.
Say it like that.
Because I understand how it looks that he's got all these women, but I'm telling you, he paid a heavy price for that. You saw how all those people are around him every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that shit is. I'm sure he was able to justify what he was doing with them girls and saying, like, hey, I'm putting out so much, whatever. This is my just dessert.
When I saw the documentary and, like, the people were always around him because you're the guy. You're the one.
He couldn't even play volleyball without people harassing. And these are, like, famous people, millionaires. And they were like,
That would I am not cult leader material anyway. Like,
you're absolutely cult leader material. That teal swan girl. The thing is that there's a certain combination that you haven't tapped into that I'm never going to show you. But you absolutely you'd be the worst one of all time. You'd be the worst cult leader of all time, and that's why later, Kai. That's why I'm not even telling you. But if you unlock that superpower, it's over for everybody. Very interesting discussion. 9.8 for me. This is my favorite song. It's my favorite song.
I did actually the other day thought of an actually great way to do a cult. I'm not going to do it.
Tell me later.
I will. Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good idea.
Right,
anyway,
dear listener.
Okay, so this one, I'm giving this one a 9.6. I definitely have a different view of the band for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that you gave us these selections because I think I like them. And I didn't expect that. It's funny because when I was downloading the songs, I was like, oh no, there's a lot by this band. I don't know how this is going to go. But yeah, I was surprised.
All right.
What about you? What did you give this one?
I told everybody I gave it a 9.8, but you don't know because you weren't paying attention to me.
No, I was thinking about my cult. Let me know if you want to join. It's going to be fun.
All right.
Yeah, well, Riv, I hope that you have a great rest of the night. Glad that you guys celebrated
the betterment of mankind. This guy. Okay, guys, we have a special bonus song on the other side of the break. There's this dude named Oliver Anthony. He wrote a song called I Want to Go Home. And our good friend, Ascender Prime, has purchased this review. So on the other side of the break, we will be reviewing I Want to Go Home by Anthony Oliver. Ascender, you're going to have to tell me if you're okay with us doing the official version. I can do the official version if you want. You know what the deal is, so I don't know if the homie's gonna block us. I hear that he's turning down an $8 million record deal. So
why?
I mean I don't know. I just heard they want to sign dude. So it's gonna be interesting.
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay, chat. Who do you think is a better cult leader, Sori or Vin?
we should. Can you pull up YouTube? We can put a poll.
We'll put a poll
Please,
on that.
You would be a better cult leader than me. Although, if I really tapped in, no, I think my idea is better.
Because
you don't want to be a cult leader. I don't want to be a cult leader either. But this actually would be a pretty fun type of cult to do. I'd be actually really good at this.
Oh